So it's only December 23rd, but I've already received my first watch-themed holiday gift. And I wanted to share it with you because I think it's pretty cool. It's this, a jigsaw puzzle. I never thought watches and puzzles would go together, but here we are. This is a 500-piece puzzle featuring some of the most historically significant watches of all time. A guy named Matt Hranek put this thing together. I'll put a link to where you can get it on Amazon. It's like $15, which I think is a crazy deal, especially because you might be able to tell this is the empty box, and it's empty because the wife and I got together yesterday around the dining room table to put it together, and look at how big this thing is. Like, seriously massive. I can't fit all of it in frame at the same time, so I'll be pulling in shots so I don't have to hold this up the whole time like I'm giving a middle school science project presentation. But you can see some of the more famous ones, Paul Newman's Daytona. There's the inscription from his wife. Here's a Omega gifted to JFK. The gift inscription is next to it there. And while there is a lot of history on this puzzle, there's also just a lot of fun diversity. There's Patek next to Popeye. There's Winnie the Pooh next to Accutron. There's Cartier next to, well, more Cartiers. But other than those and the subs and the moon watches, there's 3 watches in particular I want to focus on today. 3 watches that I really didn't know a lot about before I laid eyes on them in this puzzle, but have stolen my heart completely. Also, I want to share one watch I think was an oversight in being left off the puzzle, a very historically significant and beautiful watch from a watch brand that many people have never heard of before. I want to share that with you. And in the end, I'm going to actually ask for your help. There's one watch in this puzzle I absolutely love, and I have no idea what it is. I can't read the name on the face. I tried every kind of Google, so if you can stick around until the end and help me out with that, that would be much appreciated. But let's jump in with the first watch, which is from Vacheron Constantin. Constantin? I don't know my French very well. But this watch I'm calling the 1912 for a reason I'll explain in a second, is, oh my God, beautiful. This is the reissue, and it's called the American Historique 1912. So there is the name for you. And originally issued in 1912 as a driving watch for Americans. That offset dial was meant to be read straight up and down when your hand, that were on 10 and 2 as you drove your car down the road, you can just look over at your watch and easy legibility. I'm not exactly sure that's an issue anyone needed to be solved, but we can forget about that because this watch is gorgeous. I love the numerals. I love the rail track, the minute track around the outside. I especially love that second hand, the small seconds kind of offset on the right. I'm usually a big fan of symmetry. A lot of small seconds are down by the 6 o'clock, but I really love how they cut off the 3 and the 4 and bit of the 2 if we want to include everybody in this watch. And something with it's a beautiful simplicity involved in this watch. There's some small details like the applied Vacheron Constantin's cross on the top, but also the kind of hidden heart on the hour hand is spectacular. So there's these small details in a relatively under-designed watch. The combination of those two, and of course the ultimate of highest of finishes of any watch company, put together a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. If I had $36,000, I'd try and buy the reissue. Let's move on to another fancy brand name, Tiffany. This is Tiffany & Co.'s triple date watch. This is gorgeous. Pulling it up on the computer, it's hard to find the actual reference that's on the puzzle. A lot of these have these small circles on the dial. Here's a bigger photo from eBay for us. I'm not exactly as crazy about that, but that out of the way, the original one that's on the puzzle is absolutely gorgeous. I love the big hand for the date that goes all the way around the dial. I'm also a big day date fan of watches in general, so this took it a step further because as you can see, it's the day and the date, but also by the 3 o'clock is the month. Now, to quote Calvin and Hobbes, if you need a watch that tells you the month, I don't think a watch is your biggest need. I'm paraphrasing. Hopefully I can pull up the comic strip itself. Who the hell needs to be told what month it is? Well, why not? For me, I just love the extra complications, even just to show that it can be done, all the inner workings that had to be worked out in order to get a day, a date, and a month, two of them with revolving wheels and one of them being a circular hand. I mean, all that together, the technology and having it be hand winding is wonderful for me. Oh, and an update. I'm sorry. Look what I found here. The original reference that I love without the inner circle. And this is from timeandwatches.com. This is a very special watch, and I'm wondering if this is why it was included specifically on this puzzle. This was a gift to FDR, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, from Tiffany. It says, with loyalty, respect, and affection, on his birthday in 1945. So this watch was gifted to a president. Day, date, month. I love it. Third and final is a Breitling, and this is a very historically important watch. This is one of the first Breitling chronomats. And the chronomat was famous because it was the first chronograph with a slide rule in a wristwatch. It was the second watch to have a slide rule overall, but it was the first one to also have a chronograph, and it was supposed to be used in pilots' chairs, aircraft pilots. They use it for their calculations. Later, it inspired the Navitimer, which was more of a commercial success and was made for, the everyday aviation enthusiast. I just love the look of this watch. And check this out too. Watch You Seek put out a huge history of the Breitling chronomat, like 40 to 50 pages, and this is just part one that I found. It's a PDF, but they have a lot of different examples of early Breitling chronomats. This one, definitely you can see the Navitimer influences in it already, or, the other way around. I still, though, cannot find my reference, and by my reference, I mean the one that is on the puzzle. It doesn't necessarily look like the one on the puzzle has a rotating bezel, which is odd because it does say chronomat on the watch. It also has the 217012 on the dial face, which is a reference to the Swiss patent that they got for the watch. So maybe it's a weird hidden rotating bezel inside the one on the puzzle, and that's why we can't see it. But how gorgeous is that watch? And to think about that, the first chronograph with that slide rule, and think about how many times it was actually used by actual pilots, including in the wars. It's a historical masterpiece, a design masterpiece. I wish I had one. So those are my top 3 watches on this puzzle. Now here's the one I think they left off. It's from a watch brand called Vulcain. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Vulcain Cricket in particular. This was a president's watch. Eisenhower wore this watch amongst other presidents. And check this out. Here it is next to Eisenhower. This is the first mechanical wristwatch to have an alarm, which blows my mind completely. Apparently, it was a really tough thing to work out, but what they ended up doing was putting 2 barrels in the watch. One barrel to supply the power for the timekeeping, and the other barrel to supply the power to the alarm to go off, wake you up in the morning. And the way you charged both was it was bi-directional winding. So you wound it one way to wind up the watch, and you wound it the other way to wind up the alarm, which I think is just an incredible feat of engineering. And just, the watch is gorgeous. Look at it, and you set the watch. Here is the alarm hand as it goes around. This button up top stops the alarm so that you're, okay, I'm up button. And we go over here, you can still buy them, and this one is working and for sale on Chrono24. You can see when we zoom in closer, the minutes to the hour of every hour. So the 4 o'clock hour, and then 10, 30, 50. So you can wake up at 4:10, 4:15. I just think that is super, super cool. The design is beautiful, but the engineering that went into making a mechanical alarm wristwatch, amazing. No wonder they don't have them today. It must have been way too much of a headache to do. Although I think having one of those, or any mechanical watch with an alarm, is one of my ultimate watch goals. If you know of any that are modern, comment below. I said multiple presidents. JFK, I believe, was another president that had this watch. And if you can get a working one for $1,300, maybe this is a watch that I should start saving up for. Although we all know how finicky vintage watches can get. I can only imagine trying to service a mechanical alarm wristwatch. Who still keeps up with that technology? Finally, I want to show you a watch I fell in love with. It's my Cinderella watch because I see it, I loved it, and I have no idea who it is or where I can get it. It's this watch, and I'll pull it in here, but also I'll pull in some shots. This guy. And the reason why I cannot find out what it is like the puzzle lines are just unfortunately over where the brand should be. But to describe this watch, it looks just like a normal small seconds vintage watch, but it has like a diving cage or some sort of like porthole cage over the dial. Now that obviously affects visibility, and I'm not sure if you can flip that open and closed so it's like a way to protect the dial or what, but I just think that is such a cool design. The colors, also the blue and white together. I've also become, my God, I just put down the puzzle and it fell into 100 pieces. Okay, well, I'll deal with that later. The combination of blue and silver, I think, is really beautiful. And ever since I ordered that Kickstarter, or rather backed that Kickstarter from Vario, their 1918 trench watch with those numerals and the small seconds, I've just fallen in love with that retro design on the dial. So for multiple reasons, I love that watch. And I'm also so excited to get my 1918 trench watch. So in a nutshell, that's it. I just wanted to show you this really cool puzzle. Here's the box one more time. That link again is down in the description if you want to buy one. I know this is too late for the holidays if you wanted to gift it to somebody, so apologies for that. I just received it myself, what was it, yesterday, 2 days ago? But this is also a good gift to get yourself if maybe what you wanted wasn't given to you this holiday season. It's always a good thing to treat yourself, and for 15 bucks, it's way cheaper than any of the watches on here, so we can just live vicariously and check these all out. Again, the variety from Timex, G-Shock, Patek, Tag, Omega, everything, almost everything is on this puzzle. Thanks so much for watching and being with this channel. If you haven't subscribed, that does help the channel a whole bunch. That big old subscribe button would take care of that. 2 new videos every week. Hope I need to correctly address you as I say goodbye. Have a great holiday, safe and happy. See you very soon. Bye-bye.